My 59-year-old son, 23-year-old, has a baby with his ex-girlfriend. The child is 2. I don't want to break the subreddit's rules, but essentially she baby-trapped him, and it was a very toxic relationship. There was a massive issue with the paternity of my grandson, but I'm very proud of how he dealt with the situation. He never stopped loving and caring for the child, usually on his own, even when he wasn't sure if the baby was his. Now my son is dating a much nicer girl, Grace, 19-year-old. She is the best friend of my youngest son, 20-year-old. Grace loves children. She adores my grandson and often calls him her baby. My grandson likes her too, and it's very adorable. I've known Grace for a long time, and I think she's just perfect. The issue is my son has started to give her a lot of childcare responsibilities. My grandson's biological mother is hardly involved, and my son is usually co-parenting with her parents instead of her. So we have our grandson for most of the time. Once Grace spent the night in hospital with my grandson while my son was studying for an exam, and it seems like her life is slowly starting to revolve around my grandson and his naps, his feeding schedule, etc. Every free moment she has from college and work is spent with my grandson. I don't want to interfere, but I'm going to be realistic. They have only been together for a year, and what if they don't work out? Then my grandson will be attached to someone he won't see anymore. Additionally, she is very young and needs to live her life instead of being a mom so young. Last week, my grandson was sick, and my son had returned from work to come check on him. Grace was cuddling him at this point as she had been with him the whole day. My son tried to take him, but he wanted to stay with Grace, so she said she would stay up with him and call out of work the next day. This is also not the first time she's missed work or school to care for my grandson. Grace took him upstairs, and my husband made a comment about how my son didn't need to try so hard with his ex anymore to get her to parent when Grace was right here being his mother. My son then said Grace was a godsend because without her, he'd get no sleep. I took him aside and told him that I thought he was taking advantage of her and her time. He asked me what I meant, and I told him that at 19, he was partying and having a blast every weekend. But Grace was busy caring for a sick child that wasn't even hers. I pointed out that she was missing out on work and school for him, and my son got pissed and accused me of calling him hurtful. He also said that it was good she wasn't partying because it wasn't good or safe anyway. He then took Grace and his son back to his place and hasn't let me see my grandson since. My husband thinks I was out of line because Grace is helping our son through something difficult, and I'm starting to feel bad. My son wants an apology, and he wants me to promise not to bring this up to Grace and give her any ideas. Edit. Just want to clear something up. My son is not partying and leaving my grandson with Grace. I told him that at 19 he was out partying, and at 19, Grace is being a mother to a child that isn't hers. I was making a comparison. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot, but the behavior of your son and your husband makes me feel a bit disgusted. Their comments may not be intentional, but it seems deep down they just see Grace as a convenient mother figure rather than someone to care for and respect as a person. This is indeed a form of exploitation. Your son asking you not to speak up about it indicates that he also knows his behavior is problematic. I'm not saying he doesn't have a chance to change, but I can only hope that your upbringing is honest enough to prevent him from going too far down the path of exploiting women, although your husband also worries me, so I'm not too hopeful. Comment 2, not the idiot if I can ask how long have they been dating. As this seems to have moved very quickly as it sounds like she's taken on the full mother role. He is asking a lot of her, and while it's her choice if that's what she wants, it's good someone is making sure the arrangement is fair. Because honestly, if she's missing out on work and school, it's not 100% balanced as your son's life is taking priority in the relationship, and that's something she may regret later. Now, for the update, thank you for the comments on my last post. It's been a challenging 3 months since I last shared my concerns about my son's relationship with Grace and her involvement in my grandson's life. I've had a lot to think about and process, but I'm grateful for the insights and perspectives shared by many of you. Shortly after my previous post, my son and I had a heart-to-heart conversation. He opened up about how much he appreciates Grace's support and how her presence has brought stability and love into his son's life. He admitted that he had been relying on her heavily, but assured me that it was a mutual decision and that Grace genuinely enjoyed being a part of their lives. I listened carefully and realized that perhaps I had been too quick to judge their situation. My son shared stories of how Grace had stepped up during difficult times, like when my grandson had a high fever and needed to be rushed to the emergency room in the middle of the night. Grace had been there holding my grandson's hand and comforting him while my son dealt with the paperwork and medical staff. As I reflected on their relationship, I began to see the depth of their bond. Grace wasn't just a girlfriend. She had become a true partner to my son, supporting him through the challenges of single parenthood. I started to understand that their love for each other and for my grandson was the driving force behind their actions. However, just as I was coming to terms with their situation, an unexpected event shook our family to the core. My son's ex-girlfriend, the mother of my grandson, passed away in a tragic car accident. It was a devastating blow, and my heart ached for my grandson, who would now grow up without his biological mother. In the aftermath of the tragedy, I watched as my son and Grace navigated their grief while trying to provide stability for my grandson. They leaned on each other for support, and I saw the true strength of their relationship. Grace stepped up even more, ensuring that my grandson felt loved and secure during this difficult time. As the weeks passed, I began to see their situation in a new light. I realized that my initial concerns about Grace's involvement stemmed from my own experiences and expectations. When I was 19, I was focused on my own life and dreams. But Grace was different. She had found purpose and fulfillment in being there for my son and grandson. I also started to understand the depth of my son's love and commitment to his child. He had been through so much, from the uncertainty of his son's paternity to the challenges of co-parenting with his ex-girlfriend's family. Yet through it all, he had never wavered in his love and dedication to his son. Looking back, I realized that my son had grown up faster than most people his age. He had taken on the responsibilities of fatherhood and had done everything in his power to provide a stable and loving home for his child. Grace's presence in their lives had only strengthened that foundation. In the end, I apologized to my son for my initial judgment and expressed my support for their relationship. I acknowledged the sacrifices they had both made and the love they had for each other and for my grandson. I promised to be there for them, not as a critic, but as a loving mother and grandmother. As I reflect on the past 3 months, I am filled with a mix of emotions. I am heartbroken for the loss of my grandson's mother, but I am also grateful for the love and resilience of my son and Grace. They have shown me the true meaning of family and the power of unconditional love. I know that the road ahead will not be easy, but I have faith in their ability to navigate the challenges together, and I will be there every step of the way, offering my love and support. Thank you for reading and for being a part of this journey with me. My biological mother abandoned me and now wants my inheritance, but I showed her the door and taught her a lesson in responsibility. My biological mother didn't raise me. She let my dad raise me for the first 2 years on his own, and then he passed away. My maternal grandparents took custody of me like my dad wanted, and my grandparents became my parents. They raised me to know about the loving dad I had. My grandparents were amazing, and I feel lucky that they also loved my dad and respected him enough, despite him not being their son, to make sure I grew up knowing he had wanted me, even though their daughter, my biological mother, didn't. I lost both my grandparents in the last 4 years. Grandpa died 4 years ago when I was 17 years old, and Grandma died 8 months ago. I inherited the most from my grandparents. My aunts and uncles all inherited a small portion of their estate. My biological mother got the smallest amount they could get away with giving her, which was like $5 lol. But I got the family home because I still lived here with Grandma, and I got a sizable amount of money. After my grandparents died, my aunts and uncles got closer to my biological mother again. They became a family again and met her husband and kids. I wasn't a part of that. I have zero desire to know this woman or her family. She was never my mom. Nothing will change that. A couple of months ago, she reached out and told me she and her family were struggling and asked for money. I ignored her and asked my aunts and uncles how she found me, and they admitted they passed my info along. I told them I didn't like that. They said she's family, whether I like it or not, and at least I should be interested in helping her kids because they're my siblings. She asked for money again after that, but I still didn't reply. Then last week she contacted me again and said they needed a place to stay, and she and her kids really needed my help. I asked her why I would help her and her kids when they're nothing but strangers to me. I told her to stop expecting me to take care of her. She called me names. Then she told my aunts and uncles, and they went crazy on me. They said she's still my mom, and I said she was a biological mother, a birth mother, but not a mom when it concerned me. They told me she was still my mom and her kids were my siblings, and I should be there for them if not for her. They told me I shouldn't be a monster to them when I could help them. I told them if they wanted a relationship, they could help her. They told me my question was meant to be nasty and nothing else. I was also told she was young when she had me and I should understand better. She was 25. She wasn't a teenager. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the jerk. Your maternal grandparents decided to give you the bulk of their estate. That was their choice and decision to make. It seems like your biological mom was alienated from them as well. She may be your biological mom, but she is also, functionally, a stranger to you. You owe her nothing. If she's that important to your aunts and uncles, they should be the ones to help her out. They might even offer to introduce you to her and to your siblings so that eventually, if you wish, you can establish your own relationship with them. But as of now, they are strangers to whom you owe nothing. Comment 2. Your mother was expecting an inheritance and didn't get one. This is what she is after, OP. Don't give her a penny. Check all of your accounts, credit cards, and credit rating, OP. When you don't give in, she may decide to help herself to your funds. You might even want to freeze your credit. Not the jerk. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. It's been a busy couple of weeks since then, and I've got some updates for you. So after my biological mother reached out asking for money and a place to stay, things got pretty heated with my aunts and uncles. They kept pushing me to help her and her kids, saying that they were still my family no matter what. I tried to explain that I had no connection to them, but they just wouldn't listen. A few days later, my biological mother showed up at my doorstep with her kids in tow. She was crying and begging me to let them stay, saying they had nowhere else to go. I was shocked and didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to just slam the door in her face, but I couldn't bear to see the kids suffering. I let them in, but I made it clear that it was only temporary. My biological mother promised that she would find a job and a place to stay as soon as possible. I set them up in the guest room and tried to keep my distance, but it was hard with them living under the same roof. As the days went by, I started to learn more about my biological mother's past. She had a rough childhood herself, and she had struggled with addiction and mental health issues for years. She had tried to get clean when she had her other kids, but she had relapsed and lost custody of them too. I couldn't help but feel a little bit of empathy for her, but I still couldn't forget the fact that she had abandoned me when I was just a baby. My grandparents had always been there for me, and they had never once made me feel like I was a burden or unwanted. Things came to a head when my biological mother's ex-husband showed up at the house demanding to see the kids. He was angry and violent, and I had to call the police to get him to leave. It was a scary situation, and it made me realize just how unstable my biological mother's life really was. After that incident, I sat down with my biological mother and had a long talk with her. I told her that I couldn't keep enabling her and that she needed to get her life together for the sake of her kids. I offered to help her find resources and support, but I made it clear that she couldn't stay with me forever. It was a tough conversation, but I think it was necessary. My biological mother broke down in tears and thanked me for giving her a wake-up call. She promised to do better and to be a better mother to her kids. In the end, my biological mother found a job in a small apartment for her and the kids. It's not much, but it's a start. I've been helping her out where I can, but I've also been setting boundaries and making sure that she knows that I'm not responsible for her or her choices. My aunts and uncles have come around too, and they've been more supportive of my decision to keep my distance from my biological mother. They've realized that just because someone is related to you by blood, it doesn't mean that you owe them anything. It's been a tough few weeks, but I feel like I've learned a lot about myself and my family. I know that I can't change the past, but I can choose how I move forward. And right now I'm choosing to focus on my own life and my own happiness. Thanks for reading, everyone. It means a lot to have your support and understanding. My husband's cousin envies my baby girl and spreads lies. So I host the most talked about baby shower and she's not invited. Both I, 29-year-old female, and my husband's cousin Lena, fake name, 27-year-old female, are pregnant. I'm due in late May while she's due in August. My baby will be my second child. I have a 3-year-old son, and hers is her first. Lena and I aren't particularly close, and to be honest, I'm not fond of her. But since we're both pregnant, we've been talking more often than usual. It was during those conversations that she expressed wanting a baby girl. She specifically said she couldn't see herself raising a boy. Last month, Lena hosted a gender reveal party and found out she's having a son. She was visibly disappointed after finding out the intimacy of her baby. She threw on a fake smile during the actual reveal, but didn't keep it up for long. For the rest of the party, Lena remained frustrated and was cold and short with everyone who tried to congratulate her. I don't know if Lena told anyone else that she wanted a girl, but her disappointment has gotten pretty obvious. Since her party, she's been less excited about her pregnancy. We've been speaking less because she doesn't even want to talk about her baby anymore. Her sadness has earned her some sympathy and support from my in-laws. My baby shower will take place this weekend. I'm having a girl, but my husband and I decided to wait until birth to reveal that. As such, none of my in-laws have been informed. A couple of days ago, Lena called to ask about my baby's gender. She said that if I'm expecting a girl, she won't come to the baby shower. When I asked why, she said she's still mourning her daughter and doesn't want to be reminded that she's not having a girl. She also said that since she'd shared her reveal with the family, it was only fair I told her. I reminded her we weren't telling anyone until birth, but told her she was welcome to avoid the shower if she wasn't comfortable attending. Lena continued to pressure me to tell her, but I stood my ground. After some back and forth, she told me I was being inconsiderate as I knew how devastated she'd been. She said she deserved to know if I was about to rub my happiness in her face. That's when I ran out of patience. I told Lena that if having a boy was that awful to her, she shouldn't have thrown herself a gender reveal in the first place. I said that she could stop celebrating her pregnancy if she wanted to, but she can't dictate what I do about mine. Lena is furious. She told my in-laws that I was kicking her out of my baby shower. I told everyone the truth, but many are still on her side. They're saying that it's rude of me to dismiss Lena's pain and that I should be more graceful towards her. My husband is completely on my side, as is my brother-in-law. As much as I don't think I was wrong to stand my ground, I do recognize that her feelings towards her baby are none of my business. I was both frustrated and exhausted at the time, and I know I would have reacted differently otherwise. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Gender reveals need to end in general, but I absolutely can't stand when people have them when they are passionately against one intimacy. You're allowed to want a certain intimacy, even though kids will not turn out exactly how you think they will. But your kid will probably hear about your reaction someday. I'd be really sad to know my parent threw a hissy fit because of my genitals. You can teach your kid to play a sport, wear matching outfits, paint nails, learn the family business, regardless of genitals. Unless I'm living life very wrong? Comment 2. Not the idiot. And Lena is really in TA to her child. The poor boy. Being hated by his mother because of his gender. Yes, Lena could have been disappointed at her reveal, but by now she should be over it. She sounds childish, and I'm worried about the little boy, if he will ever feel love or if he will always be the boy who ruined Lena's chance to have a firstborn daughter. Celebrate your baby shower the way you want and kick Lena out, as you don't need this kind of negativity around for your celebration. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my update. It's been a wild 3 months since my last post, and a lot has happened. Shortly after the baby shower drama with Lena, I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. We named her Lily, and she's been an absolute joy. My husband and I are over the moon, and our son has been the best big brother. Now here's where things took a turn. A few weeks after Lily was born, Lena reached out to me. She apologized for her behavior and admitted that she had been struggling with her own pregnancy. We had a long heart-to-heart, and I learned that Lena had always dreamed of having a little girl to dress up and do girly things with. She had convinced herself that she wouldn't be able to bond with a son in the same way. I tried to reassure her that she would love her baby no matter what, but I could tell she was still struggling. I invited her over to meet Lily, hoping that seeing a newborn would help her feel more excited about her own baby. When Lena arrived, she was visibly nervous. She held Lily and started to cry, saying that she was scared she wouldn't be able to love her son as much as I love my daughter. I hugged her and told her that every mother-child relationship is unique and special. As we talked more, I realized that I had made a mistake. I had been so focused on my own pregnancy and the drama with Lena that I hadn't really taken the time to understand where she was coming from. I had dismissed her feelings and made assumptions about her without really listening. Over the next few weeks, Lena and I started spending more time together. We bonded over our shared experiences as new moms and talked about our hopes and fears for the future. I learned that Lena had always felt like an outsider in her family and that having a daughter was a way for her to create the close relationship she had always wanted. As Lena's due date approached, I could see her getting more and more anxious. She confided in me that she was worried about postpartum depression and not being able to bond with her baby. I reassured her that she wasn't alone and that there was no shame in asking for help. When Lena finally gave birth to her son, I was one of the first people she called. She was exhausted but overjoyed, and I could hear the love in her voice as she talked about her baby boy. She admitted that she had been worried for nothing and that she couldn't imagine loving anyone more. In the weeks that followed, Lena and I continued to support each other as we navigated the challenges of motherhood. We shared tips and advice and commiserated over sleepless nights and diaper blowouts. Looking back, I realized that my mistake was not taking the time to really understand Lena's perspective. I had been so caught up in my own life that I hadn't stopped to consider how she might be feeling. If I had been more empathetic and less judgmental, I could have been a better friend and support system for her. But in the end, everything worked out. Lena and I are closer than ever, and our babies are growing up together. It's been a journey full of ups and downs, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. Thanks for reading, everyone. Until next time. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.